Hey everybody, Shay here. Welcome back to another reaction. Today I'm going to be doing a reaction for all the miHoYo fans. Of course, Honkai Impact 3rd is a game I've gotten into, and I'm kind of intrigued. I'm intrigued about the history of miHoYo and of the game, and Genshin, of course, and I'm gonna probably check out all of these things eventually over time. As you can see from the image on my screen, for those of you who are already familiar, you know what's coming. I guess this is the competition presentation that way. I don't know his full name right now. I'm just seeing it in the title below, but it was recommended to me to watch. This is like it's a 2011 presentation for funding. They got 3rd place. That's all I know so far, and that this is basically the start of miHoYo. After this funding, and then everything explodes, which of course is summarized in the video that I first posted to this channel around the history of miHoYo, which was a little bit meme kind of driven, a little hard to follow in terms of the details. Not that they really mattered, I got the point, but here's the original presentation by Wei. This is subbed in English, as you can see behind me. Now let's see the first competition, miHoYo Moe casual game. Now I'm going to read this out loud. That might annoy some people, but the whole thing is like, for me to react, I sort of need to read. Otherwise, if I'm thinking and reacting, those of you who aren't able to understand the language, of course, and YouTube, you know, with the ability to do the closed captioning and stuff like that, it's gonna be very hard for this to be content for people who turn on closed captioning and stuff like that. So I'm going to do the best I can to read out the parts so that I'm reacting to myself reading the subtext, the subtitles of this presentation. Okay, I'll do the best I can. All right, so here we go. Oh my god, he looks so young. Wait, 2011. Well, hold on. Let's do this as well as I'm going. I'm gonna do some research with all of you. How old is Wei from miHoYo? Liu Wei miHoYo. He's age 36. Holy son of a gun. So he's brain 36. Compute, must compute. 24? Am I getting this right? 24. He's 24 years old. Madness. They're judges, they're startup seniors. Hello. I'm from Shanghai Jiao Tong University. So this is if he's 24, I'm assuming it's like a final year or like a master's degree or something, making some assumptions here. Our core product is Moe mobile game. God damn it. Excuse me, everybody. Fine Moe. I know I've seen it before, but in a game in Moe here. Moe, sometimes romanticized as moe, is a Japanese word that refers to feelings of strong affection mainly towards characters in anime, manga, video games, and other media directed at the otaku market. Moe, however, has also gained usage to refer to feelings of affection towards any subject. I know I've seen otaku. Otaku is a Japanese word that describes people with consuming interest, particularly in anime, manga, video games, or computers. I think I have the context now. So Moe is an affection game, virtual idols. With a so-called Moe mobile game, it's played on mobile phones and tablets. Mostly the sweet, cute, kawaii, pretty girls. I'm a noob. Everybody, is that clear? I mean, I've heard the terms, but if I'm gonna be kawaii, if I'm gonna be paying attention to this, man. Pitch. Did I not type that right? Kawaii. Define it. Define it, I said. Thank you. Kawaii. In Japanese popular culture, appealing in an endearing way. Cute. Oh, so just cute. Those are cute images or something. And then it says in the quality of being cute or items that are cute. Okay, that's a little late. This kind of anime game, the kind of game is popular and loved among otaku. So our most core users are otaku. We ourselves are otaku too. So we deeply understand what otaku demands. In fact, otaku are very good and kind. Very lovely, yet poor, very poor people. They have a strong inner need to communicate with girls, yet afraid to act because of huge psychological pressure. So otaku are generally this kind of distressed inside, lonely and isolated people. We are here to meet such need of otaku, meet the needs of otaku. I get what he's saying. The translation is a little off. So the most important feature of our game is, aside from ensuring that the game is fun to play, we focus more on creating virtual characters that players love through the game. Creating the idea of virtual idol. We know it takes a long process to create a virtual idol, so we embarked on Apple iOS and Android mobile games. As our admission taken publishing games themed on moe girls, allowing otaku to enjoy the feeling of being saved anytime, anywhere. And our dream is to allow every single otaku to have a virtual idol to find their meat and drink Wait, what? Find their meat and drink. Probably not translated the way that my brain. That's fine. And to say goodbye to loneliness and isolation. Well, that's a really interesting way to pitch it. And there's 3 features for our game. Firstly, it's relatively easy and fun to get started. That's because otaku, having been suffering huge psychological pressure easily, we hope they can play this game easily, can enjoy this feeling of being saved anytime, anywhere. Secondly, our games are designed specifically to touchable devices like smartphones and tablets. That's impressive, which is giving players a unique game experience. And the emotional expression, for example, our friendship system, which is using the touch feature. Thirdly, and also the most important feature of our game, is that our game must have a very moe female character. Not just a moe female character. Not just kawaii. A very moe female character. Own that shit. This figure on my right hand is the virtual character of our new game. And that's a typical pretty girl setting. And we got the video here, which I can't see. And as we all know, it takes a long process to create a virtual idol. And we need lots of ways to make sure our fans can interact to our virtual idols. So we start from making mobile games, but when we get enough fans, which is we get enough players of our game, we'll expand our virtual idol product to interactive media. This was 2011, and I mean, I have just started to crack into Honkai Impact 3rd, and the comments have already shared. There's manga I should be looking into. There's obviously anime, because I've seen the trailers, and I know that's embedded inside the Honkai Impact 3rd experience. I mean, holy crap. They weren't kidding with interactive media. Online literature, online games, digital music, all the way to our ultimate goal, expand to the derivative market. Of course, we know this will be a very long process. So we start from making games. Hopefully, we can accumulate our players and fans step by step. That is ambitious, man. Like, that's not just a game. He's asking for fun. He's like, this is a dream. You are going to be investing in a dream that is going to destroy the market. Do you all know that? Because I know the future, and it's true. There's 4 core members in our team. All otaku undergraduates, and masters of computer from Shanghai Jiao Tong University. We're all nerds, all right? We're all nerds, and we're going to become billionaires. And our team founder, Cai Haoyu, is a typical genius tech otaku. Cai Haoyu. Oh, sorry, I was almost saying Haoyu. Sorry. Saikon Guru. Started playing video games when he was 5 years old. Started making anime when he was 8 years old. What? Awarded the 2nd prize on National Children and Youth Competition. He was the youngest player back then. At the age of 12, he was named one of China's first 13 young I can't say that word. Academicians. Moving on. During his junior and senior high school, he was dedicated on creating anime. Lastly, that's crazy. He was recommended for admission to be an SJTU student because of national physics competition. And when we met in university, we were otaku sympathized with each other. Again, a little bit off, just threw me off. I'm trying to read fast. That's what I'm saying. So from 2009, we've always 22 years old, dedicated on the exploration of virtual idol. Back in 2009, we want to use the method of open sourced community? No way, what? We want to use the method of open source software, speed things up, to create an open source literature community, free writing. What? We want to make a light novel by open source? We want to make an open source light novel? What? Does that exist? Is that out there? Like, that's got to be out there. If it was open source, like that thing was released into public domain. There's other variants of the Creative Commons, etc. I'd be curious. After that, we participated in the Technology Innovation Competition of the Institute of Computing Technology, CAS, won the silver award, and received a startup fund of hold on. About $30,000. So startup fund of about $30,000. Damn. Okay. Back then, our project was the online game platform based on Flash. Flash, I think, died in 2012. I learned a bit of that, and I gave up Flash at about 2008. It was like, this is insane. But like all animation was being done in Flash back then. It was going to be the thing, and then it just started destroying browsers everywhere, making them catch fire and shit. For this online game platform, players can edit characters and scenes online and share them to other players with other players. This is a concept of Game 2.0. This is a concept, whatever. World Zero by SNDA Entertainment this year. See, now I'm losing context as to, because there's a little bit of trippery done with the sub. Is actually based on our concept. What are you talking about right now? Let's back this up. Players can edit characters and scenes online and share them with other players. This is a 2.0 concept of a game. World Zero by SNDA Entertainment this year is actually based on our concept. So we were still relatively advanced in this concept. And after that, we developed our engine. Like, did they sell off that $30,000? Am I understanding this correctly? That $30,000 grant that they got, they invested in creating the 1.0 version of something, and then it's the SN, whatever that company was, took the concept and rolled with it. That's what I took away. I'm not sure if that's right. Someone can confirm with me. So we developed our engine based on Adobe Flash. Oh, you poor bastards. I mean, they literally had, if this is 2011, I'm telling you, they literally had like that couldn't have gone that far, because that was scrapped. That no one, it was literally unsupported. Like, Flash was destroyed. That was one of those things that just got destroyed on the market because it was so bad. Because I remember where I was. I always remember, I have imprints of like these kinds of memories, but it was so bad that it became unsupported officially by Adobe. Like, it just died, and that's a kind of a sad story, because they would have had to move on after this. So the miHoYo engine, miHoYo, but that's still impressive. I mean, it's just unfortunate that they would have had to throw this away. That's all I'm trying to say. The miHoYo engine. miHoYo engine is a 2.5D engine with an optic angle of 45 degrees. It gets very good. Physical rendering effects and performance. Gaining a certain reputation in the industry, then we were invited to participate in Flash developing competition. In the death throes of the Flash era. A theme with our miHoYo engine, we made a themed presentation. This name, miHoYo, comes from our favorite anime, Evangelion, Katsuragi Misato. Oh, that's so cool. Because, see, I know the lore now, because the comments has said that they were inspired by Evangelion, and that it does a crossover with Honkai Impact at one point, but it was like temporary. Like, it's removed now. You can't access it anymore unless there's some workaround way to get the character. But that's impressive. That's how early that they were talking about that influence, you know. And then based on, by the way, derailment here. Evangelion is it was one of the first anime I ever watched, but then like one of the only anime I ever watched, and it was late 90s. I mean, I kind of remember all of them in sequence. It was like, I remember watching in the early 90s, it was Guyver. I loved Guyver in the early 90s. I'm a big Darkhawk fan from Marvel. I'm kind of an otaku for Darkhawk. Anyways, and then it was, I mean, Fist of the North Star was in there somewhere. And see, like, everything else is, like the Robotech ones were in there somewhere, but it's like a blur, early 90s. And then it was Evangelion. And it was like, it kind of broke my mind to some degree, and I didn't remember finishing it until just recently. Like 2 years ago, I watched the entire thing finally, and I was like, wow, okay, that was as crazy as I imagined, like the way it ends and stuff like that. But anyways, derailment, let's move on. We developed a game named Legend of Saha. Wins the SNDA Machi First Flash Competition Campus Group Champion. Jesus. Then we cooperate with SNDA, developed the Pop Tag Hero, which is the first website version of SNDA's Pop Tag series. And from this year, we're dedicated on original iOS game developing, releasing our first Moe Cute Anime Girl series. Fly Me to the Moon is a typical Moe Girl casual puzzle game. It was launched September 30th and have got a download of 3,000 copies. And because we... Oh, this subtext. And because this is when we didn't do any promotion, that's what we got. We'll later consult with publishers and sign a distribution agreement. So they launched, and then they had to, they eventually got in sync with a distribution agreement, and they helped bump up the, I'm guessing, the downloads. 3 days after the launch, it gets a recommendation banner on Apple App Store in Japan, US, and China. It was extraordinarily popular in Japan, and Is he going to say downloads? No. And then our plan looks something like this. Let's say that after our game has accumulated a certain number of players, we will launch an interactive platform to make our fans to interact with our virtual idol better. To make fans interact with our virtual idol better. Thank you for listening. Oh, that was short. That was short. There's still more than half of this left to go. Keep the microphone. Every company will have a 6-minute. Okay, we will. She talks fast to give you a reminder of the time. Okay, next, let's have a 9-minute interaction with the judges. Okay, I see. So it's a question session. What did you just say there? Just now, I heard the most is the word otaku. Then for the first time, I had such a clear and comprehensive understanding of an otaku. It turns out that otaku looks like this. Brr, a little bit of a roast on stage. Let's see what the judges got to say. Oh, okay, I got 2 questions. Okay, first, you said this has to be moe, right? Then how about you talk about your product as well, how to be moe in fact. How to be moe in fact. What's its relationship with otaku? This is the first one, and the second one, you got a competitor doing the same kind of thing. Who is that currently? What extent they've already been? That was a really weird translation, or I'm just lost, but I think I get it. So the first question is, you said it was moe. Talk about the products and the relationship of moe with the otaku. And then the second one is what I love. Oh, and then it's competition. What competition right now is doing similar things? How people consider a moe. In fact, the feeling of otaku for moe is multifaceted. For example, such a virtual character, they'll think she's moe. And it's also possible that, well, just like a tiny bunny ear, otaku will think it's moe, right? The emotional need of otaku is very subtle. Look at this guy go, man. Sometimes. Sometimes. Okay. Is that like a subtle, like, okay. Like what you see. Last year, like what you see on the slide that we can't see. Last year, we see the characters. What we got here, actually, is a typical otaku. Loved setting called Tsundere. What is Tsundere? Tsundere. Initially cold and temperamental. That is to say, this kind of girl may look like kind of hostile, making people afraid of her. But when you... God damn, you're fast, bro. I kind of get it, though. Because I watched One Punch Man, and people, that was the first time I started watching anime again on previous React channel. Maybe I'll bring it here, I'm not sure. But it's, I really hate it. What's her name? Comet, Meteor, Strike, Meteors is the girl, the green girl. And people explain Tsunari to me. And yeah, kind of hard on the outside, but innocent and soft on the inside or something like that. So making people afraid to approach. But when you really find out about her, you'll find that she's actually in need of protection inside. So yeah, I learn from comments. I listen, I learn. Oh, it was also, I was doing read reactions of My Hero Academia. That might be where it first popped up, and then people explained Tsundere to me. So there you go. That was perfect explanation there. So especially for the moe type, so we ourselves specifically focus on this type of emotion, this experience of communication. This is a reflection of our moe feeling. As for a competitor, actually domestically, as this is a small segment of the market, there are few people doing this. Some of them are some company of Suzo, I don't know what these are, called Mayumi. They are doing playwright. So playwright before that, like that kind of movable manhwa. Oh, so 2011. Damn, I thought that was also kind of a new thing that appeared after, webcomics were around back then. So manhwa, please forgive me because I am a noob here. I just got into manga. So the manhwa is Korean manga. And I think what I gathered from manhwa is that the way you read manhwa, because it was like, it has a lot of like the scrolling context. So it's comics that don't really fit the mold of like a page. And it's my context. Please forgive me, but I like this, that the movable manhwa is it's like uses more of an interactive element potential, whether it's like the scroll or maybe it's like long horizontal infinite scrolls, or there's no real breaks and stuff like that. That was my interpretation with my very small delve into manhwa. Anyways, moving on. You click, there's a picture. Click picture. That's just a website, bro. That's just a webcomic. Anyways, maybe that's when it started, though. That's why this is because I was doing webcomic back in 2007 to 2010 era. Anyways, and now they've also made this kind of related series of games. But as we've communicated with them, as they come from an art background, their R&D strength is relatively weak. Just calling them out, so whatever they want to do, mobile or online games, this kind of interactive feeling will not be so good. Look at him go, man. So we think as we communicate with them, even if we compete with them, I don't know if the communicate with them is the proper translation here. That's why I'm getting thrown off. I think it's communicate with them. It's more like analyze them, possibly, is how I'm interpreting that. As we analyze them as a competitor, competitive analysis, etc., etc. They've been doing this since 2008. Webcomics, see what I'm saying? I remember the era. We still got some kind of possibility to succeed. Plus, we think we especially love this thing. We were students back in SJTU, and we got no money. Not to mention any other funding. He's a really good storyteller, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. And we did this thing for a whole year. The hardest time, I just said he's a really good storyteller. I'm not going to explain why. The hardest time we had was work 7 days a week, more than 10 hours a day, 1,000 push-ups. sorry. But we think we were so happy just because we enjoy this feeling of being saved. Like he owned the entire posturing there. I'm going to get into it. He was answering a question. It was a second question. What are competitors doing? Not only did he say, he was prepared enough to say, I know what our competitors are doing. They suck. And we love this thing more, and we're going to own it, and we're going to decimate the competition without prowess. And then because we are, right, and then ending it with a punch. I mean, everyone's laughing. So just because we enjoy this feeling of being saved, like it's that because we have this week, it's the narrative arc. We suffered for 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and because we had this loneliness inside, and we needed to close that gap. And the only way we could close that gap was to work on this thing we loved, we had this passion for, and it because we wanted to be saved. And so this isn't just a project that you're sweating and it's like, no, because we're looking to be saved. And if we can feel this, so can all of the users we're trying to reach out there, and we're going to get, because this is who we're targeting, and we know our target audience, and we're going to nail this. Give us your money. Give these nerds your money. That's self-depreciating, but in a very honorable way. First, few others that want to make moe games have technology like us. And few tech guys love this thing like us. He's so young, man, to take this kind of positioning. This is crazy. So if we're in this market, we can compete them. We can just decimate them. Decimate them is what I meant. Internationally, our main competitor comes from Japan. And for Japan, we've studied this kind of competitor. As for Japan, they've introduced some series of idol girls reading series games. So visual novels is what I'm interpreting this as. But they got a feature. Because this kind of thing, in the end, because of the otaku's preference, you have to got voice. You have to got voice, because when otaku hear this voice, the speaking. Because when otaku hear this voice, their emotion will, stir. He's destroying this audience. He loves it. So good. So it'll need our long-term support in the end. So relatively, as for in our local country, if we compete with Japan, we'll get some kind of local advantages. Look at him go, man. Goddamn. I want to ask you a question. Who's new judge question. We've already seen lots of games specifically focused on certain segment markets. I want to ask, when you're 40 years old, what's your positioning? That is to say, if your company will keep making otaku games focused on otaku, what's your thoughts on your future? So when you're 40, are you going to keep making otaku games for otaku? As I mentioned before, we're focused on otaku. Does this word otaku only refer to otaku aged 16 to 39? He's doing it again. He's doing the narrative thing again. I'm going to explain it. He's doing it again. He just gave us our premise. This guy's good, man. What we're doing is not just a game. We're using game as an entrance. We got ourselves the hook, Act 2, to create a virtual idol. Actually, I've talked to some investors in the 30s. We have our B story. We have our Act 2A coming into a speech. We talked to some investors in their 30s, and they also said that men in their 30s can also have such emotional impulse. That's our crest. And I think, Act 2B, am I feeling this out? Here it goes. And I think like this, which is, they also got a heart of youth. This kind of moe pretty girls, they also, many of them said to me that even for men in their 30s, they also like this thing very much. So as you really make this project, so if you make this product very good, like the translation again, if you make this product very well, so if you make a good product, make the emotional experience really good. The 16 to 39-year-old men, you can get all of them. Act 3, decimated. So good. What I can understand with moe and a relationship with a moe series could be kind of personalized, characterized, private. So do you have a concept of community in your game? Now I know why the judge asking this question, because for 2011, this was the era. Like, you got to roll back. You got to remember that moment in time. This was the Facebook era. This was Facebook. Games were crazy. This thing was exploding. This market was insane. From a gaming perspective, mobile games were taking over the gaming industry. Just by the numbers, it was destroying a lot of other competitors that were spent like AAA titles and crap like that. We were getting things like Candy Crush, Farmville, and all that crap, and it was destroying the market. And so that's why he's asking about community, because Facebook had a lot of interaction features that kept people in the cyclical tap, 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 like they were constantly engaged and getting pulled back in. So that's where I think he's going to be going with this. But we don't have it right now because we are promoting a so-called interactive, again, they're missing some words there because translation, interactive experience is what I think they're getting to here, are quite different to normal social websites. So the engagement that happens with coming back to websites in the cyclical nature, like coming back and checking out like whether it's webcomics, whether it's I guess interactive like manhwa. But Facebook, well, they had like interactive websites in Flash that would get you to come back and like create. There was a lot of that stuff going on too. So they're different than social websites. In normal social websites or Facebook, you could be talking here. There's interactions between. Oh, that's a good point right here. Hold on. So in normal social website, there's again, bad translation, interactions between people. So people to people. So real people to real people. But what we want in the future is not the relationship with other people. Otaku. We want to interact with our virtual idol. Keep this straight. So if we make social games, we don't make social websites. We make a platform that otaku interact with our virtual idol. The otaku is always in control of the social interaction with a virtual friend or whatever they want to perceive them as. It is more focused on they interactive with virtual items, so their interaction with the virtual idol. For example, you wake up in the morning, there will be a very moe girl talk to you. You're going to get up. You have a meeting. At what time? Just like this type of thing. I guess the interaction, the engagement, the virtual engagement. So even if we make an interactive platform, it's more focused between otaku and virtual idols to have an interaction like this. So it's core to create some kind of virtual character, like Pleasant Goat and Big Big Wolf, well-known child cartoon in China. Okay. It actually doesn't cost much for the whole video, but it actually needs to create the Wolfie and the Wesley, the two anime characters, so that it can get lots of things expand on it. I don't know what they mean by that. Derivative. It's like so it can expand. So I want to understand if your game spreads in the future. I understand how that question got positioned. So I want to understand how your game spreads in the future. Weird translation, so I'm going to have to interpret with the answer. As we ourselves are also otaku, and we know where the otaku like to browse. Look at this. Like in China, there's Akfun and Bilibili and some fanfiction communities. Tapping into like the niche of the niches. Holy crap. Like these communities, because we otaku are very lovely, and we already have some kind of good connection. Like our game, we didn't do any kind of paid promotion, but all these fanfiction websites are willing to give us there's again incomplete translation to spread to otaku. So they're going to be basically, the community is so tight that they spread to each other. So like viral marketing, like word of mouth, grassroots stuff. So I actually think there's a big difference between otaku and other people. It's that they are very loyal. Like you make a really good product, they'll definitely follow you. Every day, every week, we'll follow the newly released anime, Evangelion, I mentioned again, etc. So I think this group of people, as you really make a great product, if you make a really good product, they'll be loyal. Everybody will. Just confidence, man. Well, their desire will be very strong. That is to say, otaku at their 10s, 20s, 30s, they share a lot in common. But what's their difference? There have to be a difference at some point. Additionally, what's your main focus? To what age group of otaku? Oh, this is gonna be a good answer. Come on. Here he goes. Wait for it. There's a lot of otaku. Otaku of different ages have many characteristics. So different pretty girls have different characteristics. Like for example, tsundere. Actually, their fans are actually younger. Actually younger than what they look like. Like a 16-year-old otaku. He would prefer to like an 18-year-old or 20-year-old girl. But I believe a 30-year-old otaku, he would have liked a 16, 18-year-old. I mean, lowly girl better. No comment. I'm not going to get into that one. Most of you he is not going to go there. Most of you present here are men. Oh no, don't do it. What are you going to do? That's what I see. So this is a very important character we released. We released a series of moe girls. That is to meet the tastes of different people. Did he just like call all the judges otaku? I don't know. Since most of you are considering things from your personal feelings, right? But you're so unlucky that you're all otaku in your 20s. But this, if you want to feel otaku at their 10s and 30s, again, odd translations going on here, how can you understand them so well? So basically, how do you understand the different markets, the different demographics of the otaku demographic? I think that is why we need financing. Like, for it to expand? Why would it? So I need financing. Like those present here. Many of you investors are in your 30s. Well, the crowd at least laughed. We got a lot of support in this aspect. And the other thing is, we otaku ourselves have a convergence of characteristics. So the so-called sympathy of each other. So if we're doing great, there'll be otaku in their tens, otakus in their teens will join us. Join our team to contribute together. Like we're not making it just by several of us. It's not just, several of us making this. It's like a community, I think is where he's getting at here. I'm interpreting. It's that we need specifically many of tech otaku to communicate together. Scope. So that was all talking about like how do you scale? Well, get more otaku, tech otaku especially. We need more super nerds to come together and be awesome super nerd. Like we got Super Saiyan, super nerdery, and then decimate the market. Since our question time is over. So that my gang, could you please just say something about our competitor here? What's your overall impression? Or you may say some of your concerns. No answerings, okay? Ah, my ears. I don't know if I'm considered an otaku in your mind. It has to have some space in the segment market, but didn't do much of studies. So he's calling him out that he didn't do enough competitive analysis. What I'm most concerned with is your promotion. Since now we got lots of games platformed, like 4,399 owned by Mr. Cai, a famous Chinese flash game website. This game could be viral on that. Is it that otaku have to be a very independent, very pure, without interference, the one place without killing that doesn't work? I'm not sure where that's. I can't interpret that. That's a little bit weird translation there. So I think your distribution channel may be a challenge. Aside from you'll use lots of money to promote more than 100 markets. I think in fact Mr. Cai should be quite qualified to speak something. What do we know about this kind of game? I think what's most successful of you is that you let us know what is otaku. You spend lots of time explaining what is otaku. There's a market among otaku. Like what my gang said. Currently you have too few users. You release on September 30. Up there I saw you got 3,000 downloads. If it's on iOS or iPad, I think it has to be more than 1,000 downloads in one day at launch. Oh, I wonder what the actual numbers were, because like that would have been a retroactive burn right here to prove that this product is useful. Secondly, you've ignored Android, or in China now. There's few smartphones you may consider to release on 43.99 or 00, etc. platforms. Oh, these are the Flash platforms. Or like platforms like Weibo to get some development. But the problem is, if you'll do it quickly. I mean, sort of constructive criticism. They weren't wrong, but it's easy to say retroactively, like retrospectively, like they were wrong, but they weren't wrong contextually at the time, you know. And he did prove them all wrong eventually, so he got the last laugh there. But but you know, they were thinking that it was in the best interest of the success of this. I mean, maybe he took something away, and he did do what that was suggested by these judges, and move forward with it. Did he have a pretty unconventional pitch? Yes. Yes, he absolutely did. Because, and the criticism, if you can call it that, was sort of hit the nail on the head, but he was very good at it. It's that, you know, he explained otaku a lot. He explained the importance of otaku as a target audience. He explained that this was otaku for otaku. Like, all of this was, it all depended on the otaku community loving this thing. So if that broke down, there was no game. There was no success story. There was none of that, you know. He had to be perfectly confidently, like his confidence needed to be perfectly right. Like, it's not, because it was all dependent on that pitch. So when you're pitching that to a row of judges, they're going to, and they don't quite understand the otaku culture, then it's going to be harder for them to like embrace the idea and the confidence behind his particular mission statement here, right? He knew exactly what he was targeting, and but I mean, in the same regard, you kind of have to look at that and say, like, the unconventional nature of that is kind of what made it. I'm a fan of the underdog story, and I'm a fan of like unconventional ways of approaching problems, and especially with like narrative and marketing and how to position a story so you can like not just make a sale, but you gotta like, sometimes making a sale is just like getting buy-in from your stakeholders. And I mean, I definitely adhere to the storytelling aspect of speech giving, or being able to pitch an idea. You got a 30-minute call, you better pitch your idea in like 10 minutes, and then you better be able to answer things dynamically in the next 20 minutes. And it all feels like the same pitch. You got to be very dynamic and on your feet. He's very young here though, you know, and for 24 years old, I mean, for an otaku at 24 years old, he's pretty confident on that stage, at least, you know, as a nerd can be. And I speak as a nerd, introverted nerd. Like that I had to learn that to be more expressive and become more extroverted, especially in the kind of space I'm in today. YouTube actually extremely helped me with that from 2016 onwards. I probably give a lot to YouTube, kind of make me break out of some shelves, some barriers and stuff like that. But at 24, that was a huge. I mean, and they were programming. They were already making games. They were doing anime. They understood the culture. They wanted to like do this stuff with like the lonely guy having someone to turn to that was a virtual girl. So that, you know, it was always on. It was always there for you. And so if you needed someone to talk to, you had your virtual idol. You had a virtual moe. You know, like so I do feel like it was unconventional as hell for 2011 contextually. Yeah, man, that was at the perfect time. It was like, it's just that webcomics were just starting to hit a pinnacle, because it was starting to go to, I mean, it was like webcomics, the Flash games were really huge in the early 2000s, and into just at the tail end there is like, again, 2008 to 2012 era is where I feel like everything started falling off with Flash. And then it was all the social websites started taking off huge, because they got a lot of injection from funding from VCs, from venture capitalists, like injections that, like, we're talking Twitter, Facebook, all of those things started blowing up around 2007 onward era, and then the big media started getting involved in all those things, and so that's where you got that explosive market, right? And that's where he was kind of coming in at the, like stealth bomber, you know, coming in to this market, still having that very, not naive, but kind of like, you know, because even his pitch is very naive. It's not very marketing based. It's not this heavy. It's not a lot of like lingo that's in the industry at that time. He's coming in, he's asking for funding because he's a nerd. He wants to do things for nerds, and because he wants them to feel like they're winning all the time, or like they're being saved. Was a great line, right? Because you make it emotional. And then you know, the rest is history, obviously. Like, where this goes, all the rest is history. But impressive is what I would say. I wish the translation, the subtitles were better. They did throw me off a couple times. I had to interpret all along the way, which is why I spoke. If I wasn't recording right now, I just looked at the clock and I was like, if I wasn't recording right now, I'd be so pissed. But anyways, I do feel like this video would benefit off of having a cleaner translation, that if it wasn't perfect, you know, it wasn't trying to even capture all the likes, and then the changing of like, you know what I mean? If that just scrub all of that, just give us what the context of the statement is. I think this would be a much cleaner presentation on YouTube. Maybe I'll do it myself. I'm not sure. I did the first attempt here live with all of you. Hope you all enjoyed it. It was fun to do. I thought I was going to stumble a little. I got more into it, as you can tell by like I got more into it as this thing went, but I was struggling at the beginning because I was trying to read and find out how to do this, because I didn't know. I'm like, oh god, this is subtitled. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to react to this stuff. But hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed my perspective on things and what I could add. I tried to add things from my personal perspective. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll do more of these. Of course, I've got a couple suggestions in this vein, which I will approach blind, and I'll just dive in. And if it turns into content I can salvage, like if you're watching this, I've obviously salvaged it. So hopefully that all works out for the best. So give this a like, of course, if you enjoyed it and you want to see more of these. And of course, if you just enjoyed watching this video, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. That's the best way for YouTube to spread this content to other people with similar interests as all of you. And I hope to see you again next time. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.